Well, I had plans for the day. Wanted to tell you about these curly willows again. So this guy here is only a couple of months old, and he's as tall as I am. The good thing about curly willows is they propagate really easy. And what I mean by that is you can cut off a limb and stick it in water, and then it'll start to root. Then you take that and you stick it in like a pot and keep the soil wet, and you can grow a whole new tree off of the branches from one of the already developed trees. This guy here is about 3 years old, and I don't know, 10 foot tall, about 10 foot tall. And he was the first one we planted. Came from a tree that we started on our rental property that we had. But I need to limb him again. He's grown pretty good. Those limbs are a little bit too big to be cutting off to start new ones. These ones here are pretty big. You see, they're bigger around than my finger. But this guy here, these little ones down here, like this, you can just cut him off, stick him in water, this guy, and then it'll get pink, bright pink roots come out. And then once they got roots, you stick them in dirt and you can grow a whole nother tree. So while we got this guy going, once he started, he got real good and healthy and started branching out, we started taking clippings off of him and we planted him. He's about 2 years old. He's pretty tall. And then this one shortly after. And we've been taking most of the limbs off of this guy, but I need to go ahead and limb the other ones because the limbs will get real bushy at the bottom, and then it's hard to mow around and weed eat around. So we take the limbs off and we stick them in water and all that, and then we started planting anywhere that there's a wood post on the inside of this interior fence. We went ahead and planted another one. And we went all the way around the property like this. From that gate over there, every wood post has a curly willow tree. And they're a few months old now. A couple of them died. We're gonna have to redo them. The sheep, some of the smaller sheep can get their heads through this fence here. It's like a 5-inch by 5-inch square. And if they can reach it, they're gonna eat it. They like them. So they killed a couple of them. But I was out at the corner of the property, way down at the corner, and I already started. I can't get the tractor through there to mow because the branches are hanging low. So that first group of trees, that grove of trees there, I already limbed them. And then the second group, there was a I don't know what you call wild willow, a native willow. I think they call them willow oaks, and we have several of them on the outside of the fence. But this one was grown up so tall it was going into the power line. So I went to start limbing him, and my wife said, well, maybe it'll propagate like the curly willow tree does. She said, bring me some branches. And I thought, you know, these things grow so fast, I'm just gonna have to cut him down. So I cut the whole tree down, and we took the smaller branches and we stuck them in water. Some of the bigger branches, oh, I passed it. I bunched them up and stuck them in a water trough, tied them all up, and I scored the bark on the bottom of them to make the roots grow out better. This is what we've got. So I know it looks dead. It does, it looks dead. But if you look inside closer, we got leaves popping out. That branch is very much alive on that one. And then down here we got new growth coming out, and there's some there. And over here on this side, same thing. So different ones of these branches that were just full-on branches have started to root down in that water and are actually alive still. Some of them I think have died, but that's okay. The ratio of ones that have lived to the ones that died, I can accept that, I think, being that I had to cut the tree down anyways. So we'll be able to stick those in the ground and have a pretty good start to a willow tree. They get big, provide lots of shade. So we're gonna go ahead and stick those in the ground come spring, or at least get them into pots. Some of them we stuck into this pot right here. You can see some of them are doing pretty good and some of them died. But the air conditioner drips off the roof. The air conditioners are up on the top, and so that stays wet all the time. So I think those are going to do pretty good. And then also in the spring, we'll plant all these fruit trees. We've got plums, apples, peach. What's that? That's another apple. And then I think I've got 4 pecan trees. That's a maple right there. That's called an Arizona cypress. I believe that's a holly. Another Arizona cypress. That's another maple tree. And then these are Leland cypress trees. And I don't think that they like Texas. We started out with 100 of them. Past the road there, down the fence line, I planted 40 of them. And then on the other side of the mound, across there, I planted some more back there. I don't know how many it is. I think it's about 10. And the ones in the pot are doing a lot better than the ones that were in the ground. So I think that's our lesson, is start them in a pot, let them get big, establish a root system, and then we'll put them in the ground. And at the time though, also the sheep were allowed over here on this side of the fence, and we'd let them come over and help us keep this grass knocked down. And evidently they like Leland cypress trees because they ate a bunch of them, ate all the tops off of them. So I made it where the sheep couldn't come over here anymore. They could only go out into that main pasture. And some of them started to come back, and some of them went ahead and died off. But that'll be in the springtime. Oh, I've got an orange tree here. Got 2 oranges on it. This one's been here for a while. Waiting for him to start turning colors. He should start turning orange soon, huh? I don't know. Make sure to give them plenty of water. And then a lemon tree. And it's got several lemons on it. And they kind of started turning yellow. And then we've got these 2 avocados that are doing pretty good. These have already been spliced, so they should be fruiting. This one kind of turned into a bush, didn't it? We should get some fruit off of them. Hopefully next year we get some avocados, and we'll get them in the ground also. But they need a lot of water, from what I've been told. So I try to find low spots to plant stuff, because as you can see, when it does rain, the water just likes to sit in places. Yesterday when I came out here in this grass, the water was still deep enough that my shoes and socks got soaked when I was putting up this awning. But today it's soaked up enough where I can walk through here, and I could probably even mow today if I needed to. Oh, I meant to show you. I showed you the little branches we cut off of that big willow tree, and then the actual branches. But the tree trunks themselves, there was 2 of them. It grew out in a Y. I took the auger and put a 3-foot hole in the ground, and then tied this dude up. I scored the bottom of it, and the geese have been pulling the bark off the bottom. That's probably not helping at all. I tried to tape it back on there, and then they pulled the tape off. Imagine that. Some of the end branches, you can just snap them right off. So the very ends of the branches are dying, but big parts of the branches are still alive. They got some give to them. And then we planted one over there behind that chicken coop. Did the same thing. And make sure to keep it real wet. When I was saying the other day that when I water the ducks, which that is today is every other day, I take these buckets, they still have a lot of water in them, and I go dump them on those trees and keep that hole filled with water. And the premise is that it will propagate like the small branches do. It'll start growing roots, and then we'll have a full-grown tree. That's if it can get the roots and start feeding that trunk out to those branches before it all dies. It may just start at the bottom, the base of the tree, growing out new branches, and that would be fine too. I would be okay with that. But it was just going to be cut down, thrown into a pile of brush that we're going to have a bonfire on Halloween with all that brush. So if it doesn't survive, it'll just become firewood. But hopefully it survives, grows roots, and turns into a big beautiful tree. Like I said, it was going to get cut down and wasted anyways. I hate having to cut down trees, but the power company wants to come and cut all of them down, so I got to keep them trimmed back. And that one was growing, the wides were growing in such a way that I wouldn't be able to trim them to keep them out of the power lines. I had to go ahead and cut them all down. So they have a 10-foot easement from my fence, and I have a 12-foot batwing on the tractor that I can go between the fence and those trees and mow. So technically they can't touch them, but if I don't keep it trimmed back, they're going to want to come back and cut them all down, and that's not cool. And they think they can do whatever they want, which I guess they can. If it's their easement, there's really not much I can do about it. But I want to preserve as many trees as I can. So we're just going to limb them, pile them up somewhere over here close to the fence. That way on Halloween we can have a big bonfire. Anyways, I wanted to show you the big trees because I showed you all the rest of it and forgot to show you the big part, what I was getting at. So anyways, waiting on Hunter, and then waiting on Autumn to get home so I can get some stuff done. We'll see you later.